Greetings, I am Lies and I use she, her.
And I am Scandal and I use they, them.
And let's play a game together. Let us chase down this art critic aggressively together.
Yes.
We just cannot function without speaking to her.
I mean, I guess we could have avoided it the whole time. I'm just like, my god. He seems like he wants to get better, so that was the only thing I could really rationalize and come up with. If you're gonna make this really big, huge stink about you cannot literally really ask anybody else to model for you until she leaves, like, does that make sense? Where I was like, why would you care?
Like I said, it seems to be funneling you into it, but I'm like, if it feels sucky, avoid it, you know?
Right?
Alright,
various paintings.
Does it say something different now? Because it's a new visit.
Maybe. So many famous paintings. And mine right next to them.
Nope.
Nope.
Alright, let's try everybody else first.
Will I ever be good enough?
Ah.
Alright, so we gotta go look at everybody else.
Can we interact with anything other than her? Alright, wait, what are they doing now?
Oh my god. They're groping onto nobody who's... Why didn't he paint our lieutenant?
Oh. Lieutenant? You brazen hussy. If you go near him again, I'll...
You think you can control his animal passions?
I see. You found your pleasures in the stables. Not his bed. Whoa.
I will not let your jealous words injure me. Injure, not injure. Unless she's actually supposed to not be able to speak the language very well.
I don't know.
I know where Alphonse's true heart lies. With himself, probably.
Yeah, almost certainly.
Alright, time to go bother the person because I literally have nothing else to do. Thanks.
Oh.
Because there's the guy. Hello, Fraulein Langkazak.
Oh, hello.
I'm happy I didn't have to chase after you today.
I have no idea what you mean. You've brought a painting. Yes, it's in my trouser pocket.
Yes. I brought it. It came before me, before I showed up.
Kind of.
I'm actually deeply entertained by that.
Part of me wants to be like, is that a painting in your pocket, or are you just here to harass me?
You, this huge painting jutting out of your trousers, covering up your face. Hello, ma'am! I haven't seen you for some time, so I said I'd have to chase you down.
Or in the back, like a giant-ass backpack, but you got square pants going on, like massive SpongeBob square pants. It's just down the back of your pants, all the way up above your head.
So good. Yes, it's over there, as you can see.
Oh, I didn't notice. You just assumed you could bring it here? Yes, why not? Do you want to learn or not?
I says, that would be a question. Would you take a look at it? That's a question. Why is that a period? That is like would you take a look at it? Like...
Or... Yeah, it's a statement. It's just, go look at it, please. Go look at it.
I think it's just like, now I have to be direct with you because you've been... I'd be honored if you would take a look at it.
I expect you would be. You must be feeling brave today.
I think at this point, yes, maybe? Like, except
when
again, is he not brave?
This is what you're coming up with.
No,
so
I know.
It's whatever you think fits.
But I'm trying to go off character.
That's what I mean. So whatever you think fits for the mood he's in. He's been very confident and comfortable for most of the time.
But
his frustration,
really confused when it comes to her. Again, I'm like, what's your
Because
deal?
He expects everyone to be open and friendly with him.
That's fair.
And he doesn't know why she isn't, and she might be put off by his entitlement. On the other hand, it's like, all of his internal of, am I good enough, is very internal.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem outly directed towards people based on my interpretation thus
Okay,
far.
that's fair.
But this is, again, just go with what you feel fits the character.
I know that.
Well, because you keep going, if I don't know which one. And I'm like,
well, it's because we're doing this together. And now you're going, you do it alone. Have fun there.
No, I'm helping.
What happened?
But you seem like, in a lot of cases, it seemed like, you were like, okay, it's this thing. And I was like, I didn't even get to think about it yet. So you seem to know what you're doing.
Yeah, well, sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. So sometimes I'm like, oh, that totally makes sense. Where he'd be like, no.
Unfortunately, I'm already late for another engagement. No. Please, tell us what you think.
Yes, please, don't disappoint us.
Oh, that's it?
Yes. It replaced the girl with the violin.
But also, like, what's behind him? Where's the other pieces of it?
It's hard to see, but it's literally right here. It's okay.
Okay.
Keep going.
You've caught something of him.
Like, just keep watching the screen. See? He's right there.
Something perhaps surprising to those who don't know him well. Oh, okay, so there's a whole nother face and stuff. It's just with the words cutting right through it, it was hard to get any sense of that painting.
Maybe the fact is, like, you're... Like, I'm wondering kind of in this case, I'm going, are you trying to basically make him more, like, he was a difficult subject, I did my best, do you be is this defensive?
I think that one is a little bit defensive, but it's also a little bit like a...
But it also might be admitting, going, he was a difficult subject. Like, is that it owning up to, like, he's his struggle?
I think it's also foisting it off on the other person, because, again, the banker trying to be very open with him.
Yeah, he did.
He's like, I'm right here, and he's like, but there's something about you I can't see. Not that you're not showing me, I just can't see it.
Right.
So it doesn't make the banker a difficult subject. I think that's redirecting.
Okay.
Which doesn't mean he can't do it, but I don't think he's been inclined to put blame off on other people.
Right. I think that's actually part of the reason that I get kind of confused about these responses in games like this, is going like, what is the tone supposed to be? Is this defensive? You could read this as defensive. You could read that one as defensive. You could I did my best, or I did my best, or I did my best, or he was a difficult subject, or he was a difficult subject,
or very thoughtfully, he was
difficult subject. Yeah, or like thank you, or thank you, or I'm like, we've had discussions about voice acting. So like the thing that makes this really weird is like you cannot just pick things, and then when we pick stuff, I go, oh, you're surprised, and they're like, well, that's supposed to encourage you to come back and play, and I'm like, but then I feel like I've basically been fumbling and I don't know what's going on.
And the thing is, just like, it'd be really nice. It's really nice when I feel like I can understand a writer's tone. When whatever the way the person thinks makes sense to me, and I'm able to understand what they mean by certain things. But yeah, a lot of games, I have no idea. And this gentleman I know very little about.
Yeah, this one we jumped really fast into picking things, unlike with the girl. With Wilma, where we actually got to spend more time with her as a person.
Part of me thinks it would be interesting to say I did my best, because for him, that could be an admission of, this is all the skill I have right now.
Right.
It's not I did my best. It's I did my best.
Well, we can try it. Because I don't know.
Sometimes and then I see what she thinks and goes, oh, that's your best.
Uh-huh.
So then you need to get better.
And again, that's this thing where I'm like, I feel like what people miss out on is going like, I'm not trying to... At least I don't think what we're trying to do is basically try to be like, oh, well, I only want to pick the positive stuff or whatever else. What I'm going for is going like, what's the character experience actually like? How is he saying he was a difficult subject? What is I did my best? Is it more of an aggressive response? Is it more of this is my sad response? This is a sort of blank thank you.
Right. What are these as far as emotional expressions are concerned? And if you chose them, what would that build as a character experience? Yes.
Right, exactly. I'm going, and it's difficult to be consistent because I don't know what's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
I
guess definitely needs one more layer of the painting.
I did my best.
Yes. Perhaps?
You approve, then?
While it is better, it doesn't really do him justice. Does it? I've known him for years. There's much more to him than you show in this painting, which isn't required. So that there's an interesting level of entitlement here in her case as well. Now, critics are often like that. I mean, if you go to the whole, Anton ego thing, if it takes very little for a critic to say there's something wrong with this, and it takes a lot of work for the artist to pour their heart into it.
Right.
Kind of thing. But it's like, there's a level of going, you haven't captured all of him. And it's like, is that the intention of the painting? And is she judging it on that only because that's the artist's intention?
Or is that what her expectation is?
Or what her preference is?
Yeah.
And going, if she's coming from the direction of going, successful art is doing what you set out to do.
Yep.
And from what I understand of you, young man, what you set out to do is capture the complexity of the whole person. You haven't done that. Or is it going, all portraits should contain the complexity of the whole person, and if they don't, they aren't good portraits.
Right.
Like, where is she coming from? It'd be very interesting to understand her better, and I'd like to.
Right.
Because she really does seem to be like, everyone here I know really damn well, and you don't. And I wonder if it's that she's been here so long and amongst this culture and knows them all so well, or if it's more of, I'm really good at getting to know people. I pay very close attention. I'm very perceptive. I'm very aware. Very high social intelligence. And so she's like, I already know what you're after, and I'm judging you based on basically your own standards. Mm-hmm. And I wonder more who she is.
A certain veneer, but lacking depth.
Yes.
Oh,
we changed
switched
girls.
characters.
It's
what?
okay.
It's fine.
I can see the problems now.
I probably just be, what's missing?
I mean...
Oh, maybe?
Because and the thing is what's missing going, I didn't know anything was missing, or is what's missing, what do you suggest?
Right. Well, that's my question. I'm like,
because if when you say...
To be like, an invitation, what's missing?
Yes. And going, I couldn't see it, maybe you can help me see it.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, but I'm just like... This is we talk about, like, this is frustrating, and people go, well, you can come back, and I'm like, but the thing is that, so how we play these games, we don't.
We don't usually come back, because we're not doing an entire, like,
content mine.
Completely, exhaustive tour of the game. We're just doing, basically, a sample. I say, but, like, I think it would be to go, what's missing? Because he keeps going, what is missing to himself? It'd be interesting to sound the room.
That's why I'm saying, like...
Hopefully it means that.
You're right. Oh, that's my... What's missing?
Hi. You're not being truthful with the brush.
Oh my god, that is so fucking
Vague
arrogant.
Artistic.
God, that's vaguely artistic arrogant. Like, okay, so I have to say, like, I haven't had a lot of people be like, well, there's just, like, this thing. You're like, you don't even know what it is. Well, I'm an art critic. I spend time doing all this stuff. And it's like, but the thing is that you assume... So, okay, so fun stories that we like telling. One of the ones that's my favorite is there's a very famous painting where there's a dude in a diner. There's a couple people stuck in a diner. And they were like, oh my god! I think it was like the Chicago Tribune went off about it. Going like, we would like to know what happened. Like, why did you not put in the door? What is the profound, importance of this guy didn't paint in a door?
There's no obvious exits to the diner at all. And they go, we really love the sort of deep, profound commentary of the fact that there are no exits. What made you decide to do that?
And the guy goes, fuck! I forgot the goddamn door again.
Yep.
And that was it. And that's the thing that sort of pisses me off sometimes about criticism in general, particularly like sometimes with literary criticism or artistic criticism, where you're just like, you're assuming the artist had an intent. You're assuming that they had a directed purpose. You're assuming so many damn things. And it's the reason why I never really got along with some of my English teachers when we do, like, literary criticism.
Or analysis.
Or analysis. Because they'd be like, it was only this one option. And you're like, what are you talking about? Like, to show me the interviews. Well, people said this thing. Well, that just is what it is. And you're like, but the thing is it is about your interpretation. It's what you bring to the page in a lot of cases. You're bringing your history, your background. Are you that person?
I was going to say, if you're interpreting or analyzing the literature, you're not just literally going, what did the people say it is? Which is not interpreting or analyzing. That's just getting the information from the wiki.
Now, there is a really interesting, basically, awareness that people do actually have more nowadays, because it is actually more deliberately done in, say, like, advertising, where they've talked about basically the sexualization and exploitation and misogyny of, let's say, like, women in the United States for being used in advertisements, right?
Okay.
So they've talked about understanding the language of advertising, because it is actually more deliberate there.
Okay.
Is a way to understand that might be going on in other areas, but it doesn't mean that everybody's fucking doing it. Some people are literally just copying a copy of a copy. They don't know why. It's a sort of, I'm repeating this behavior because it did something to me, but I don't know why and I don't know what for.
So there's a term that I believe I've coined, but I don't know if someone else came up with it, but I've never seen anyone else say it.
Right.
It's creative appropriation.
Right.
And what it is instead of, cultural appropriation, is when you see someone else's creative work, be it a movie, be it a book, be it whatever, and you write and or create and or paint or draw the themes that they have based on the fact that that's what you've seen as a model. And you don't know the background or substance or meaning of any of those themes.
Right.
So there's this really good example that my friend gave me recently where Ursula K. Le Guin's book...
the Wizard of Earthsea series.
So the Wizard of Earthsea series is a deeply misogynistic series. Okay? And the thing is people go, but you're an incredibly profound feminist writer. How do you have this deeply misogynistic series? Maybe it isn't. She's like, no, it is. Because I pulled information from all the fantasies that I read to write mine. And so she appropriated that artistic information, that creative information, creative appropriation, because she didn't know they were being misogynistic. She didn't know the themes were men-centric. She didn't know why people had chosen to do the things they did. She's just, that's all I've ever read.
And that was at the time she wrote it, and that's why she came back later with her Tombs of Atuan and her other series. There was like 18 years between some of the, like, one of the in books, between, so it was like where she changed, she went, I've got to correct this. I've made an error.
Well, I was not very wise and or educated. I wasn't very educated at the time, and now I am.
I wasn't aware of what I was doing.
It's one of those things, and I'm like, saying you're not being truthful with the brush is just so much fake blogging.
Yeah, it pisses me.
I'm not my favorite. But yeah, creative appropriation is something that happens all over the place. And it's really interesting in fan fiction, too, where you'll see it, where people go, this thing is done, so I'll do it. But they don't have any idea why. And then it's like playing a weird game of telephone, where 3 generations down the writing line, it's just the thing means almost nothing, but it's in every story.
And it's really interesting. And actually, they talk about that even for like Tolkien and how much like what happened with his decisions and the way that he wrote, how it literally came up, like that was the result, like that's where D&D came from.
It changed the face of fantasy.
Yeah, it really did.
And it really defined it in a specific, now called European light. And going, before that, they're really like, elves were little fae. Like small little creatures.
Yeah. Well, depending on the kinds of myths you were going for. But yeah.
Your large fantasy in, Britain and your Western literature was little tiny fae.
Little cutesy.
And he redefined it and everyone's like, hot, tall, sexy elves.
Yeah, pretty much. Those are the fae. And you're like, no, that's Tolkien. Yeah. So anyway, truthful with the brush.
You must think outside your own experience.
How can you do that? So I have actually heard this line just casually thrown at me, and I'm like, how do I do that? All I have are my own experiences. Actually, that's the reason why I got mad sometimes at my English lit teachers going like, we have to think about outside the box. I'm like, all I know is my box. That's why it's my box.
Well,
you're here to teach me to think outside, to have other things that basically become a bigger box.
Just so you know. You can't think outside of your own experiences because then they become your experiences.
Yeah.
And the thing is they might not become your physical experiences, such as going, I've never bungee jumped. We're talking about bungee jumping. I can't relate to the person in the story who's bungee jumping because I've never done it. But if you go and read up on bungee jumping, watch some bungee jumping, learn about bungee jumping, hear other people's experiences, you now have your own experience that is no longer outside of your box, that isn't think outside of your own experiences, because those are your experiences now.
It actually reminds me, and I love that, this is one of my favorite stories of where my friend, actually, at one point, where she was talking about her mom. Yeah, where Liza's mom was just like, God, I just don't like creature design. I wish they could make it, like, actually look really alien, not look like anything that we know. And I'm like, but that's all we know. How do you draw something that nobody's ever seen before? It's not physically freaking possible. The closest that maybe we get, which is an interesting thing, is stuff like H.R. Geiger, but he was drawing from basically horrible nightmares. And, like, because he had, what kind of specific sleep disorder did he have?
I don't know, I would say, but the thing is they still have torso, legs, arms,
recognizable
head.
features. Yeah, exactly.
Like, and my mom really was going off on like, I don't want all the creatures to look sort of like a dog, sort of like a lizard, sort of like a horse, sort of like a person. I want them to look like something new. Not even sort of like a jellyfish, sort of like a spaceship, just something new. And I was like, you can't come up with something new because as far as we know, our brains use references to do shit.
Well, see, and that's the thing actually what I thought was really funny is especially when you see something that looks so freaking bizarre. So I've seen a lot, so this is my experience with sci-fi art, right? I've seen stuff where it looks really weird. And I'm like, this was rendered, high skill, really good oil painter, somebody who was really good at anatomy, knew exactly what they wanted to do, etc. Looks dumb as fuck. Like it is incomprehensible as something that I should either care about, something I should be interested in. Like, it's really interesting to watch also people going, yeah, it looks, wow, really weird, but they don't care.
Interestingly enough, things need to be relatable as well. I say, so I want something brand new, and it's like, if it's too brand new, you don't like it. But like, so Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends was something I watched a few years back when I was a little bit younger. I say, and there's this one, like particular, I think it's just one episode, but it might be carried over to a couple of others as far as the plot is concerned, but usually they're mostly one-offs with very little changes, where there's these basically baby imaginary friends. And the baby imaginary friends are not fully formed imaginary friends. They're basically like infants came up with them. They're incredibly simple. And what they are is they're just these floating, moving piles of squiggles.
Right.
And they look like nothing you've ever seen before, because they're literally, if you assume that's a real world with real people in it, floating piles of squiggles, just moving, shifting,
Yeah.
like pen on paper, squiggles. But if you
Yeah.
saw them in person in real life, it'd be a bunch of lines floating in the air, aggressively moving.
It would be a little horrifying, probably.
It'd be really fucking weird and different looking. On the other hand, it's like, that doesn't really strike anybody as going, oh, look, there's something I've never seen before, because the design at that point doesn't matter because it's not interesting. It's like, well, what I care about is the fact that each of them can be given one task and that they're cute little cinnamon rolls.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's more contextual things.
Yeah.
But if you had, I'm going to draw a monster, and you do your big, fancy, beautiful canvas with your, endless noir background kind of thing, and then this sort of just intense blob of squiggles in the middle of it, which implies movement, nobody's going to go, that's a monster.
Yeah. They really aren't. Anyway,
Not for the most part, anyway.
Outside your own experience. Sorry, we have some opinions this time around.
Apparently today is a day for talking. Hi, go out into the real world. She just called you sheltered. Try to see real people.
I mean,
not the people in your mind, not whatever you've been seeing. Don't hang out with your mannequins anymore.
So, well, basically what you're saying is she should have probably better said, expand your experience. As some people say, and again in an affectionate manner, and I say this affectionately, going like, I understand, for me, what I feel like the intent is basically go outside and touch grass. You've been basically insulated in your own, basically, echo chamber for too long. Go experience something other than yourself or what your usual patterns.
Right.
Go add to your life.
And I was going to say, yeah, think outside your experiences, and the only way to do that is to then go experience more things which aren't then outside your experiences anymore. But you can go, well, what are things I don't normally do? And then go and do some of those.
Right.
But, like, she is suggesting this person is very isolated, insular, and potentially sheltered.
You know what kills me about shit like this, though? So this shit takes hours. Painting.
Oh, yeah.
Coming up with these concepts. People, like, all the people when you have to study your craft, and then they go, how dare you? You seem really isolated. You're like, dude, I spent the last 9 million hours studying anatomy.
So what I want to say is I have complained in my life before of going, people want to hang out with me. People want to do things with me. And people complain that I only have 1 or 2 friends at a time. And I'm like, the shit that I want to do, is largely insular. So when people are like, let's hang out, let's go do something, I was like, cool. And a lot of times it's, what do you want to do? They're like, no, I want to do what you want to do. I'm like, okay, I would like to read. I would like to write. I would like to draw. I would like to, sketch concepts. I would like to educate myself. I would like to get the chores done that I need to do so they're done. No, but what do you do for fun? The first 6 things were things I do for fun. Well, but like, what do you want to do together? I'm not very good at that.
Yeah. And I feel that.
And all the time, it's like, well, let's go out and do fill in the blank. I will be doing that for you if I do that. And that's okay. But it's not something I like. And no matter how much you want me to like doing it with you, it's not going to be something I will be personally motivated to do myself. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Real people.
Abandon this bright bubble of high society. Oh, she's saying do some poverty tourism.
She is saying do some poverty tourism because you'll always be able to come back here, honey.
Or going, you think you know what people are like.
Ah, yes, so very bright.
All right? And it's because you've isolated yourself into this one idea of that specific echelon is the only people that are people. Even though if he's nervous about it, it doesn't mean he's necessarily this class at all.
Well, and also the thing is like...
But he could have been working up towards it his whole life, going, that is the pie in the sky that I perceive to be valuable, so those are the people that I perceive to be valuable.
Wonder if actually the thing is so, like, seeing him with his own studio, the fact that he's, like, doing this on a nice afternoon, oh my gosh, I'm a young man, I've been studying painting for a long time. It's possible he's been rich this whole damn time, and we've had literally no idea.
Well, the thing is that he could be. He's just not from a family that's known to be affluent in the art world.
Yes.
If only for a time. It does sound like she's saying poverty tourism, though. Yes, bright indeed.
Now, you're the one living in a bubble, and go where?
I think he'd probably just be like, I came for your advice.
So
go where?
Where?
What are you suggesting exactly?
Where do you expect? Where do you, wish to advise me to go so I can poverty tourism harder?
Yes.
And go where?
Ask your grandfather.
Because
he's clearly a man of substance.
Are we really having a whole, like, the old ways were better? Go ask your grandfather because, again, older generations knew what was going on. All you guys are so disillusioned you don't understand what the hell is going on.
Or you're completely illusioned and they're disillusioned.
Oh, excuse me. Whatever. Like, you're all wrapped up basically in rosy-colored glasses and you just don't understand how hard it... I'm like,
given
really?
the incredibly red palette of this thing...
Oh. Now it's interesting because part of me is like, are you just having that narrative because he's white and he's, as far as we know, a cis man and he's probably straight straight, because that's usually how these things work out. And
Yes.
you have this woman who is also white and seems to be affluent in the fact that people listen to her. And going like, okay, so you could have a woman going, hey, you don't understand what it's like at all to suffer, have these experiences, but you like to pretend that you do? Like,
Or-
I don't know. Like, I don't know how to read
Again,
this.
it depends. Is she going for what I think art should contain as a whole person, or going, what you've stated is that you want to do this.
Uh-huh.
And I don't feel like you understand whole people because I don't feel like you've been exposed to very many. So you're never going to be able to create the kind of portraits that you say you want to create unless you have more exposure.
What if it really is that thing that I said in one of the earlier episodes of going like, what a good photographer you are. You have such a lovely portfolio of a lot of white skinny girls bending over. Mm. Is that kind of like the problem where she's like, oh my God.
Everyone does this.
Please.
Do
like you have...
something-
Please.
And going, again, your work is interesting to go, you're clearly trying to do something different. You're just also shit at it.
Yeah, right? That's why I'm
On the
like...
other hand, she's not very...
Well, that's why I'm
She's
like...
certainly now, it's not her job to teach him.
No, of
at
course
all.
not. No.
But she's certainly not being very helpful about it.
No, and most of the time, though, people have talked about it going like, what are critics really supposed to do in that case? What is the point of being a critic? Well, because a lot of times, as far as I ever understood a lot of critics, was basically they existed in order to make the language, say, for example, like Robert and Egbert, make the language of the film accessible so that you could understand what the themes were, what was going on in the story, and whatever else, and then it started to become more snappy, hey, this is stupid, blah, blah. They started just assuming that you knew what was going on.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't it like Roper and Ebert?
Oh, well, I can't remember.
Anyway.
Like, yeah, please, I apologize. Fix
It's
me.
okay. One of them's Ebert, though. Siskel.
yeah.
Siskel and Ebert?
Maybe?
I think it's Siskel and Ebert. We're one of the biggest critics for movies.
Yeah, like, but that was the thing, like, is that kind of what this is for? Like, so that's the thing, is people are like, what is the point of being a critic? Like, what are you doing?
So, to some degree, we're doing criticism.
Oh,
frequently.
yeah.
I would say, and for myself, it's trying to understand it and going, is this information being disseminated in such a way that I can clearly get what they're after?
Right.
And a lot of it is from, sort of the reason I keep asking the question of going, is she trying to critique what he purports his goals to be?
Right.
Because a lot of times we come from a direction of, if a game has a big, grand, huge, very specific ideal, mm-hmm. and we get, really introduced to it by the, game description, then we look for those themes, those ideas, those things, and go, is it here or not? Mm-hmm. And that's it. And so it's kind of critiquing them against what we perceive their own standard to be. Mm-hmm. Going, have you set out what you said have you done what you set out to do?
Right. Have you accomplished the goal that you stated you were doing? The genre that you said you were in?
Grandfather.
My grandfather.
Yes. He climbs mountains. He knows what it's like to feel the sharp rock biting into his hands. You have Lily's soft, unused hands. The black earth under his fingernails.
Are we glorifying hard work?
I think one, we're glorifying hard work. Two, we're glorifying, substance of the world. Uh-huh. And three, we're also glorifying, again, like she seems to have he's had more experience. He's more mature. He knows more. She's like, I'm into older men.
Well, I was about to say, honey, of course he has. Like, he's older.
Literally older. You know what's funny? I've had that happen a few times in stories or like role plays or whatever. Someone being like, God, this person's just so much more experienced. I'm like, they're literally older or higher level. It's like, that is why they've had more time. Yeah. Time is experience.
You'd be like, I hope so.
I hope so. It's always nice when that works that way.
Right?
The real world.
Because I've also had problems.
You've never touched dirt in your life, boy. Banker?
Herr Reinhard Moritz, the banker, the empathy of this man. One could hardly miss that. It shines through, even in my painting. So that's your own...
Can you click on any of the other people? Or the pictures or anything?
No.
Gramophone.
Just the gramophone.
You can still do the gramophone.
There's no record on.
Huh. Can we go to the balcony?
Nope.
Damn. Alright, well,
yeah,
outside to touch grass, and by that I mean see Grandpa.
Alright, Grandpa. Help me touch grass.
It's true. Let me see dirt.
But she's like, I'm like,
Grandfather, this is dirt.
Joseph's
child.
apartment.
Grandfather,
I need help.
But just the grandfather takes you outside. This is dirt, child. Dirt.
Fräulein Launesick told me to experience the real world. I don't know what that means.
Reasonable.
You know her well. What do you think she meant by that?
Grandpa, I don't do this scene at all, but I totally know the people here. Meet me at the market later. I'll show you.
Okay.
I'll show you what she meant. Well, where's the market? This one has a map.
Salon
It's really
cafe.
interesting.
We can go to the
My
cafe.
workshop. Is that the market?
We're gonna go to the market.
Oh, look at us walking.
I imagine you could choose to go to the cafe if you wanted to and just fuck off, probably,
It's
and then
true.
you'd do some...
bird.
Bird! Airplane!
That's a huge bird.
Very big. Well, it's because we're higher up in the sky, so the bird is closer towards us, so it would be really large.
If the camera's actually working that way. Oh,
But also,
God.
like, huge person, too.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Also, no other people outside at all.
Nope, none.
So, you're not purple, right?
You're purple.
Okay.
I'm yellow.
I'm like, did we ask him to meet us? I thought
He
told us to meet
he
us
did.
market. So then why he's saying...
You're purple.
Right, so...
Your grandpa.
Hang on.
Yes.
Grandpa said,
In purple.
come meet me at the market.
Yes.
And now he's saying, I'm pleased you asked me to meet you.
Oh, is it a come meet me in the market, and then this was you decided on a date
Maybe?
and a time.
I
You said,
guess.
I will be here, so I will see you at the
Okay,
market. He
okay,
said,
thank
if
you, thank you.
I'm like, that is actually really weird. Thank you for that clarification, though.
I'm like, I just got lost for a second going, he asked you to meet him. And then you're like, I'm pleased you asked me to meet you. Except for, now that makes sense of going, meet me in the market. And then you did actually set a date and go do it.
Right. Okay.
Got it,
That's.
got it.
But that also is
Okay,
a little.
but also...
I still say that that's probably awkward though, since they've never really established that convention before. Of going like, and then we're just gonna say that he did this.
Now hold still for
No,
just a
I'm
second.
holding.
I need to borrow the mouse.
Okay,
I
I'm
gotta show
borrowing
you
the
thing.
mouse.
So you know how we see like the little spirits of people and stuff like that when we get close to him?
Uh-huh.
This spirit is this little bloobly tiny eyed thing.
Actually,
I just say the butcher spirit is a whoo.
do you know what that reminds me of?
What?
Remember when we were on a road trip and we had the cloud with the dog?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
god, you guys, like, it was the coolest looking damn thing, and I was really mad that my phone didn't get it. But, because I didn't think to take a picture of it until it was a little bit too late.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like this perfect silhouette of, like, this round cartoon little floppy-eared dog.
Dog,
And it actually had two,
Eyeballs,
like, perfect
holes.
little holes through where the face would be. And I was like, that is
Wild.
bonkers.
It
Like, it was
was.
perfect.
But yeah, the little tiny eyes. Whoo.
Anyway, keep going.
But something is on your mind. What can I do for you, my boy?
Slap-
the whole meat
He's
bouncing.
slapping his meat.
Like all of the meat, the entire table bouncing is a little wild for me. I just go, buy some of this stuff. The whole thing.
Wait, why are we having this conversation again?
I don't.
We're having this conversation.
Maybe it's a lead-in.
Fraulein Landesik told me to speak to you. Because that's where I'm like, that's what you're doing.
What? Okay, and then, do you need someone to tell you when to see me?
Apparently, it's vital
Yes.
to my future as an artist.
Yes,
And, like,
I
just
love
so
that.
you
That
know.
sounds so accurate. How can I help? But yeah, this sounds a little repetitive. Like we've already had this conversation. Maybe it's months later. Who knows?
So,
need to experience the real world, which we already said to him, and he said, "I'll show you that in the market."
And why are we this is the same conversation. I'm actually really baffled. This is
I think
really
at this point,
redundant.
if you assume the first part's already been said, which it has, you would just say, "What do you think the real world is?" Because he already knows that first
Sure.
part.
What do you think the real world is?
For me, the real world is the north face of the Pio Alto.
I think so. Puyo?
Pui.
It might be
Payu.
Payu?
Pio.
I don't actually know what it is. It's
Alto. I know what alto is. The upper end of the overhang from the foot of the rock face.
So why did we go to the market?
Because, it's a good place to talk about mountains. It's 40 horizontal meters.
Dude, stop slapping your meat.
It's not vertical, it's horizontal.
Horizontal?
Oh, so like you just climb across
Oh, the
cliff
whole
face.
thing, maybe.
You just go, you just plap yourself on there and you scoot sideways, crab walk. I guess.
My god.
I'm also like, you didn't literally know your grandpa does extreme mountain climbing?
Which sounds bonkers and hilarious, but I suppose that's fair. They didn't exactly, have Instagram.
On the other hand,
Facebook.
you also probably
the
just...
boomers going, hello, I just went up the mountains today. Watch me take 9 million pictures. Most of them are out of focus.
Or me, I brought my traditional camera with my copper plate photos.
Oh, hell
I took
yeah.
15 of them. Oh my god, that's so extravagant. It's so beautiful.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god, you took 9 billion photos. I know. Even though it's like each one of them took 45 minutes to set up.
Right.
It was first climbed in 1879. I climbed it with Daniele a year later. That's as real as it gets. So
Wow.
come to the market to hear about this. I am Confucian.
Climbing mountains make stuff real?
I guess. Maybe.
I have so many philosophical differences
setting
with this
records
game.
makes
Like,
things real. Doing things for the first time makes things real. I don't know.
So I'm like,
Being
what?
in nature.
I thought this market would be real enough for me.
I did choose the market and tell you to come here. Of course it is real. Not like the salon.
This literally doesn't make any
Gwen,
sense.
why is the market real and the salon isn't? Our world is made of words. The real world isn't made of words, it's made of stuff. I think?
I'm confused. Also, though, like, the stuff only has value because I did describe it. Come on.
Greta knows this. But the real world, our world, this smacks the meat as well. Plap! The butcher, wow, is made of deeds. Not as dramatic as my example, but real all the same.
What?
It's not as big of a deed. This real world
Oh!
isn't made as big as climbing mountains, but standing around in a salon and talking about art isn't doing shit.
There is no try. There's only do.
As well as
What?
talking isn't doing something. This is physical hard work that is important here.
I mean, and again, this could just be basically various different philosophical angles, several that I deeply disagree with.
It's
but
a very
like,
specific philosophical angle, and again, the two people you're concerned with believe in it. So it doesn't mean it's true universally, it just means the only art critic you've ever spoken to, that's her value system.
Yeah.
That is something actually that can be really valuable to remember, is when you're speaking to someone that wants something from you, or that doesn't approve of you, or that is having, a judgment of you, or whatever, and, you're like, no, but I need to change this, or I need to do something about it.
They are one person.
Is that one person's opinion really that deeply important to you? And is that one person's opinion representative in any way of the larger world?
Right.
Because these are very important things to know. All right. But real all the same. The market is real. Not as real as me climbing a mountain like a bitch.
Right. I understand that, Grandad.
Okay, then. Let's see if you do. Go, climb that market stall. Look over there.
Slap this meat! Go, my child, slap the meat.
The woman at the vegetable stall. You mean the woman like 4 paces in front of you who can hear you talking?
The one woman who is dramatically sitting there, front and center, waiting for her moment in the spotlight, like, freaking singing in the rain.
I was saying, she really is like not doing anything.
Anyway,
Also,
it's
like,
fine.
The tiny child behind her is freaking adorable.
The tiny child is very cute. Anyway.
It's like, who? What do you see?
A plump, middle-aged woman. A woman who carries herself well for her age. She looks familiar. She must have been beautiful when she was younger.
Ah, so are we talking about something generic? Something that gives a little bit more about her her actual personality and things she's done in her life? Or I think I know her? Or just, let's think about her past.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, if he is doing the many and multiple layers of things, he'd probably be more like a woman who carries herself well for her age, which implies personality.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Carries herself well for her age, but also like, you carry yourself bad for your age because you bitch. Like, I don't know, I just get tired. It's fine, it's fine.
The thing is it still has a certain amount of cultural or social judgment in it, for sure. But there's, you don't necessarily have to avoid that. What it does, though, is it's the one that, for me, has the most personality in it.
Yeah. A woman who carries herself well for her age.
That's Madame Erika Fernhardt.
Fernhardt? Maybe? She was once a famous actress, wasn't she?
She still is. And one of the most beautiful women who ever breathed.
Because that's the only thing you care about. It's fine. You know her?
I did.
Okay.
Not anymore.
It was a very personal, deep...
A thing back in the day. Remember how I said actions, not words? We had some actions together, my friend.
Yeah.
Once upon a time.
A dream.
Before I met your grandma.
Yes.
Oh, you were involved. We were involved, but it wasn't the real romance of my life.
I wonder if you'd be like, she has an incredible presence even now?
Honestly, if you're trying to look for painting and about life, that seems like a really neat type of... That seems like a good thing to say. A good way to build on what you're trying to do.
Right. She has an incredible presence even now.
Speak to her, Franz. She's just standing there doing nothing. It may sound strange to say it, this of an actress, but she is one of the realest people you will meet. What is with the real versus fake?
What?
Conversations and ideals are fake, but doing things is real. But go talk to her, which is a conversation.
Which is a real thing to do. What?
Conversation.
Mother trucker.
All right. And I think we should stop.
We haven't had no savey thing I've been watching the whole time.
Oh, I know, but we can do it.
Okay.
I believe in us.
Alright, well, I guess we are out of time, according to my friend.
It's okay, trust me. I said, I don't want to do like hour-long episodes of this.
It won't take an hour, we just have to stop talking.
It's true.
That's all we have to do. Alright, so thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. If you like what we do, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and also share our videos if you were having a good time with us. Please also feel free to go check out our Ko-Fi and our Patreon and our Twitch. We have links in the description down below. We would really love to see you, and we would really love to have your support. It has been awesome so far. No obligation, but it has been great. We also appreciate your help saving us from the algorithm. Like, whoa.
Yes.
And yeah, I have been Scandal.
And I have been Lies. And it was great playing with you. Bye!